Hello motorcycle enthusiasts. Today I'm going to disassemble the carburetor of a Suzuki GS450 for you. And before we start, I'll first show you what tools we need. We need a Phillips screwdriver in size PH2. We need flathead screwdrivers in different sizes, needle nose pliers, an open-end wrench in 14 millimeters, a punch, a strong flashlight. Today I also need my Allen wrench set because someone has already used some Allen screws here. And our little special tool, a hook bent from the wire of a paper clip. So friends, let's start with the choke. I'll show you. It's a cool mechanical thing, how it's set up here. Yeah, it slides here on a rod. And now we need to unhook the choke cable. I left it on purpose to show you. Because the cable is hooked here, yes, with the nipple, and the slot from which it is led out is closed specifically by this small securing plate. And this needs to be pushed away against the spring here. Yes. And then, so to speak, the slot is released to remove the Bowden cable from its holder. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Great. To get it out of its holder here. Like this. Yes, this small plate here, so to speak, engages in this slot and secures the Bowden cable nipple against slipping out. Not quite every day, but cleverly solved. Let's continue with these two small set screws. This one and another one here at the front, this one. They will now be loosened. You can also unscrew them completely. Under the set screws, they have a small point, and there is a small indentation in this rod that moves the choke mechanism, so to speak. I'll show you. Like this. This way you can find the position again later. The rod is now being pushed out. If you're unsure, please take a photo of the choke mechanism so you know how it goes back together later. So, and here you see the indentation. Yes, in this indentation sits the tip of the set screw. This way, the position is precisely predetermined, and you basically can't mix it up when reassembling. So, this is pulled out here. This way you have these operating components separately. The spring has fallen down here like this, and like this. I'll set this aside for now. And as always, I'll show you this today using a chamber. And today it will be this one. We now need the 14 millimeter open-end wrench and can loosen and unscrew the choke piston, which is fastened here with a hexagon. There's actually quite a decent amount of space here. With other carburetors, there are definitely more space issues. So, it's loose. Yes, now I can unscrew it with my finger. And now the choke piston is pulled out here. Like this. This is what it looks like. If the front part comes off, it's not a problem. You can put it back on. So we've dismantled the choke and we'll continue up here with the vacuum cover. Let's start with the vacuum cap. I've just turned the carburetor around so that the camera can capture it better. There are 4 screws here that need to be loosened. Originally, these are Phillips head screws. Someone has already screwed in Allen screws here. And these two hold the bracket that holds the choke's Bowden cable. So it is dismantled at the same time. I will loosen these 4 screws and unscrew them completely. You should hold the lid here with a finger a little at the end. Underneath sits the slide. And the slide is spring-loaded. I'm already holding it down a bit with this small operating lever. So I'll set this aside for a moment. Remove the last two as well. And we can already take off the lid. Carefully straight up. The mentioned spring is just inserted so it can be removed here. And here we see the membrane, so you can check right away. Is it still intact? After you have removed the slider, just hold it up to the light, check if it sits in its groove. Here, I need to show you. At one point, the membrane is a little thicker. This means that it is intended for this recess to fit exactly this part of the membrane here. So there is only one installation direction. So I am now pushing this out upwards here. Carefully detach it, and then we already have the slider with the membrane and the part load needle here. And next is the idle mixture screw. It is located at the top of the carburetor here. I will write the basic settings for you again in the video description. You should also generally always check the description in my videos in case something else comes up later regarding this carburetor. Sometimes I also get a tip from a mechanic friend who says, this and that might be easier this way, or you forgot something. I always write that later in the video description as well. There we have the mixture screw. And now we need to test the small special tool. Then there is a spring on the mixture screw, the hole. Now take it out with the small hook here. There we have the spring, and in front of the spring there is both came out at once. One moment, I'll place it here for you so you can see it properly. A small washer and an O-ring, just like it is laid out here. This is the correct order for assembly later. But you will also get the assembly video, of course. You will now get it linked above, and we'll see each other, or it continues right away with the float chamber. It continues with the float chamber. 4 Phillips screws hold it in place. Yes, you might know it from screwing. Remember, if there's dirt in there, please clean it first so that your tool fits properly. Use a proper screwdriver. If one of these screws is already severely damaged at the head, I will now link a video above with a solution suggestion on what can be done. Here, all of them are still in good condition. And I will now loosen them and unscrew them completely. I had told you at the beginning, have a small pair of needle nose pliers ready with your tools. Of course, you can also just turn the carburetor over, and then the screws will fall out here. But here is the one I'm working on right now. There. It's already quite tight, so you can't get in there with your fingers. It can be easily removed with the pliers, for example, and you can easily reach the other 3. So, I'll quickly take this one out here. There. And then we can just lift the float chamber straight up. This is what it looks like. There's a tiny bit of rust on the drain screw at the bottom. If you look here, wait, I'll set it down again. If you look here, the carburetor has a small rubber plug over the idle jet, and this is held in place, or rather secured by this nipple, yes, so that the plug can't fall out. And we'll start with the plug. It's inserted and it is pulled out here. If it's no longer okay, you should definitely replace it. Otherwise, the vacuum ratio won't be correct. Here, the idle jet gets its fuel through a small bore from the nozzle holder of the main jet. Thus, the entire flow rate is limited. It has to be this way. The plug must be in place. I'll link it for you in the video description. So there, at the bottom sits now the idle jet. Yes, fantastic. I'll just unscrew it first just to be sure. So, and if we carefully turn it upside down now, this one falls out. This is what it looks like. Now the seal has also fallen out. I'll also link it for you in the video description. And a quick word on that, because the question keeps coming up about these links. Do you earn money from them? That's the great thing. If you use this link, which is a so-called affiliate link, you support the maintenance and expansion of this channel. And you also support a great shop with fantastic reviews. And it doesn't cost a cent more than if you ordered normally. Let's continue with the main jet. This is the big one here in the middle. I'm going to unscrew it now. This is what it looks like. And under the main jet, there is a small washer in this carburetor. Like this. Yes, and then the float can already come out. The float sits on a small axle. Now we need the pin and push the axle out with the pin. Yes, it was a little bit stuck. This should actually go quite easily. If it becomes difficult, you can stand the carburetor upright and carefully, really carefully hammer with the pin, or perhaps let it soak for a day with a rust remover. Don't use too much force, otherwise you might break off a piece of the housing. But usually, it can be pushed out like this. So, and then I can take out the float here. I have to remove it towards the back because there is still, I need to show you, there is a small metal tab that limits the movement in this direction, right? So you need to carefully remove it towards the back here. There we have the float. And underneath here is the float needle valve. The actual needle valve is this one here, yes, E, with the small tip, and it sits here loosely. So it is not attached to the float, but it sits here loosely and is moved by the small metal tab. This screw still needs to be removed. Phillips head screw. It holds, on one hand, this small limiter I just mentioned. And on the other hand, it also holds the float needle valve itself in place. Set the small screw aside. This is the shaped metal sheet. And now the float needle valve can be removed. It sits here with an O-ring. Wow, it's already quite flat. So in any case, a new one needs to be put in here. And I'll just let it pop out here. Yeah, well, okay. So that should definitely be replaced. It doesn't look new anymore. All right, friends. That was the disassembly. I am glad you watched. Wish you lots of fun with the project. If you liked it, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. And of course, a subscription. And wish you lots of fun with the project and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.